Yo, what is up, guys? It is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, back at today with another fantasy football video. In today's video, I got you guys the Week 16 waiver wire ads. Now, obviously, this week is the championship week for most of you, so we're going to go out here and pick these guys up and smash in your fantasy football championship. We're going to go ahead and eat a W, like our name is Jameis Winston. Now, before I get into these Week 16 waiver wire ads, I'd like to give you guys a word from my friends and my sponsor over at OverlayDFS.com. OverlayDFS.com is my favorite way to play daily fantasy sports. Now, obviously, on the website, they have NFL, mainly what I cover, but they also have NBA as well, so you can get your fix for both NBA and NFL on OverlayDFS.com. Now, obviously, I'm going to be talking about the NFL here. My favorite game to play is the progressive game mode. Now, they have entries at all price points, $2.5, $22, or $109. Now, the cool thing here is what progressive means. There's that beautiful progressive bonus. If you hit 12 and 0, you will cash that progressive bonus. And the $22 game, you cash a progressive bonus of over $10,000. Now, obviously, on Sunday, it is going to be even higher than that. I'm recording this on Tuesday. It is going to be even higher at that time when it comes to hit Sunday. So make sure you check that out. Now, the way that the game works, it is very simple. If you hit the top 10% of players, you win 9 times your buy-in. It is that simple. And the way I'm going to show you how it works, it is so simple. All you got to do is make 12 picks plus 3 alternate picks in case one of your players ends up getting hurt or something happens that causes the matchup to be voided. It is so simple. It is player versus player. Pat Mahomes versus Denver, or do you think Jimmy Garoppolo will do better versus the Atlanta Falcons? It is so simple. To me, that is obviously Pat Mahomes, but there's so many matchups here. Over 30 plus matchups that you could choose from. They are different every single week, and it is so easy to do. Pretty much you're not even really playing against everyone. It's just you versus the cutoff to see if you can hit that top 10% and win 9 times your buy-in. So make sure to check out OverlayDFS.com, link down below in the description. And we are back. Make sure to check out OverlayDFS.com, link down below in the description. Y'all, let's get right into the video. Week 16 waiver wire ads. Now, the first option here is Mike Boone, running back of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Dalvin Cook is likely gone this week. He's likely gone for the whole month of December. I was reading that it is unlikely that he comes back at all this month. So, if Dalvin Cook misses, which he should, and Madison misses, which there is potential for, Boone could see so many fucking touches in this game. He could be a fucking league winner this week. If Madison is out and Cook is out, Cook obviously likely should be out. Madison may play or may not play. Mike Boone could be an insane start this week. Last week up against the LA Chargers, he got 13 rushes for 56 yards and 2 tutties for 17.6 PPR points after Dalvin Cook exited. So that is an amazing game from Mike Boone. I believe he could do just as well this week up against the Green Bay Packers, given he gets the opportunity to run hog wild. Now, if Madison is in the game, I still think that he could be good for like 10, 12 PPR points, but obviously not a locked and loaded potential to be a running back one like he would be if Dalvin Cook and Madison both miss. Next guy here, we got Adrian Peterson, AP all day, whatever you'd like to call him, running back of the Washington Redskins. He has been honestly on fire the last 3 games, playing quite well. Now, with Geis out, AP has been playing even better. Now, obviously, Geis was playing in that Week 13 game up against the Carolina Panthers, and AP still did well. AP has been low-key doing pretty solid, even when Geis was in, but now with Geis gone, he's been looking a lot better. Week 13 up against the Carolina Panthers, 13 touches for 99 yards and 1 touchdown for 15.9 PPR points. Week 14 up against the Green Bay Packers, 20 touches for 76 yards and 1 touchdown, plus a fumble, 13.6 PPR points. At Week 15 up against the Philadelphia Eagles, a great run defense, I might add, 16 touches for 66 yards and 1 touchdown, plus 3 receptions, so he's starting to see some receptions with Geis out for 25 yards, 18.1 PPR points. So I see no reason why you can't just slot AP into your lineup, go for a good 10, 12, 13 points, and just be happy, you know? He played good enough, and he is a guy that's on your waiver wire when the waiver wire is quite dry for this Week 16. Next guy here, we got Tariq Cohen, running back of the Chicago Bears. Now, he is really only an option if you're in a PPR format. If you're not in a PPR format, you're in a standard option, just skip, go straight to the next guy because he's fucking useless if you're in a standard league. He averages 10.2 PPR points on the season. That's mainly because he's much more of a wide receiver than a running back. He's been going out wide a lot. Last week up against the Green Bay Packers, he played quite well, but the last games before that have been quite dicey. So he's kind of a dice roll type of guy, but you know he's going to get that floor. You know he's not going to put up a goose egg because he does get a lot of targets. And the fact that Dave Montgomery has not been playing too hot, I really think Tariq Cohen has the potential to have a big game this week. Week 15 up against the Green Bay Packers. 8 touches for 28 yards plus 7 receptions on 10 targets for 57 yards and 1 fumble, which equated to 15.5 PPR points. So obviously you could do a lot worse than Tariq Cohen this week. And onto a kind of scary option here. It's getting a bit scary back here in the late night. Kerryon Johnson, running back of the Detroit Lions. Now I know you might be thinking, Nick, Kerryon Johnson is fucking terrible. You told me to draft him. He only got 11 PPR points per game this season in 6 games. You know, I'm not going to count the fact that the 6th game ended soon due to an injury. That doesn't count. Kerryon Johnson fucking sucks, Nick. You fucking idiot. And you might be thinking that, but Kerryon Johnson could play this week. He's likely to return this week up against the Broncos, and I believe he could have a big game against the Broncos. The Broncos defense really is not all that good against the run. And there's just a lot worse options than Kerryon Johnson. You at least know he's going to be getting the ball in this game. So if he returns, he could be a potential dud. I doubt he puts up a goose egg, maybe like 5 points, but he could also put up a big game. 20 points for big man Kerryon Johnson. Now to the wideout portion of the video. So if you guys have enjoyed the video thus far, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. Let's get right into this part, though. Breshad Perriman, wide receiver of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I know I told you guys last week, pick up Breshad Perriman. He is going to have a great game. And you know what people were saying? Nick, you fucking idiot. Breshad Perriman isn't going to do anything. I'm not going to play Breshad Perriman. Breshad Perriman this, Breshad Perriman that. Breshad Perriman is not good. Blah, 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 blah. And you know what happened? He eviscerated the Detroit Lions defense. And this week, Evans is out, Godwin is out. It is going to look like Breshad Perriman might have the most unholy game on a defense this week. Now, I like him this week up against the Texans. But let me just get into his stats the last couple of games. Even with Godwin and Evans healthy, week 13 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 5 of 6 for 87 yards, 13.7 PPR points. And then Evans went down week 14 against the Indianapolis Colts, 3 of 6 for 70 yards and a touchdown, 16 PPR points. And then week 15, then they lose Mr. Godwin. Rest in peace. Thank you so much, Chris Godwin, for everything you've done for us this year. But it is Breshad Perriman time. Week 15 against the Detroit Lions. 5 of 6 for 113 yards. And not 1, not 2, but a 3 touchdowns for 34.6 PPR points. And this week against the Texans, you're going to lock and load him straight in your lineup to eviscerate your opponent in the Fantasy Football Championship. This motherfucker is a league winner, and you can quote that. I believe he has a huge game this week up against the Texans. Now, I know you might be thinking, Nick, he could actually have a dud because he's played so good the last couple of games, and if Jameis Winston sucks, which is definitely possible, even Nick thinks that, even Nick knows Jameis Winston could have a dud, I think that Breshad Perriman is going to shit the bed, and that's entirely possible, but I believe you just believe in famous Jameis, you eat a fucking W, and you start Breshad Perriman this week in fantasy football. Next wideout option here is Anthony Miller, wide receiver of the Chicago Bears. Now, he has been on fire, super hot fire the last 3 games. Week 13 up against the Detroit Lions, 9 receptions on 13 targets, 13 fucking targets for 140 yards, 23 PPR points. Week 14 up against the Dallas Cowboys. This is a down game, but still a pretty good game. 3 receptions on 4 targets for 42 yards and 1 touchdown, 13.2 PPR points. At week 15 up against the Green Bay Packers, 9 receptions on 15 targets. Who knew he'd get more than 13? And 1 touchdown for 26.8 PPR points. A humongous game from Anthony Miller, and I believe he could continue this success even on a team that cannot make the playoffs. Kissing titties, Trubisky loves throwing the ball to Anthony Miller a lot, so I really do believe Anthony Miller could have a big game this week. Next guy here is Chris Conley, wide receiver of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I know what you might be thinking. Nick, you fucking idiot. You told me last week that D.D. Westbrook was going to be great, and D.D. Westbrook shit the bed, and Chris Conley played amazing. Oh, Nick, you're so fucking dumb. That might be what you're thinking. Now, Chark, if he's gone, I think that he could be a valuable start this week. Conley could be a very valuable start if Chark is gone. Now, if Chark is in, just throw Chris Conley, throw D.D. Westbrook out the window, and just believe in Chark. But outscored D.D. Westbrook last week, week 15 against the Oakland Raiders. 4 receptions on 8 targets. 8 targets is pretty good for 49 yards and 2 touchdowns, 20.9 PPR points. Now, I know what you might be thinking. You know, he only scored 2 touchdowns. He scored 2 touchdowns. That's pretty much all of his points. He didn't really do anything. He didn't get over 50 yards. You know, you might think that. You might think this, but 2 touchdowns. He's still going to be getting these looks. I believe that he could have a big game this week in Atlanta if everything goes his way. So he is a bit of a dice roll because Gardner Minshew is a confusing man. 1 week he'll like Connolly, the next week he'll like D.D. Westbrook, the next week he might fuck your mom because that is just how crazy Gardner Minshew is. So I believe that Gardner Minshew could have a great, not Gardner Minshew, Chris Connolly could have a great game this week, but it is a bit risky. If you guys have enjoyed the video thus far, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. Justin Watson is my final wide receiver, a very big dice roll wide receiver of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, he did nothing last week, but with Godwin and Evans completely gone, I believe he could be involved. His last two games, week 14 up against the Indianapolis Colts, 5 receptions on 8 targets for 59 yards and 1 touchdown. A good game, 16.9 PPR points. And the past week, where I thought he would have a okay game, puts up a certified dud against the Detroit Lions. 2 receptions on 2 targets for 17 yards, 3.7 PPR points. But this week, I believe he could have a potential bounce back game with Godwin's and Evans completely gone. Now onto the tight end section of the video. Now last week I told you guys Tyler Higbee was a guy you need to add and throw in your lineup. You know what he did? He dominated, and he's been dominating the last 3 games for the LA Rams. Week 13 against the Arizona Cardinals, 7 of 8 for 107 yards and 1 touchdown, 23.7 PPR points. Now I know some people were going not to believe him because, oh my god, he played against the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals defense fucking sucks against the tight end. Obviously, Higbee would do good up against a trash Arizona Cardinals defense. He's not going to do anything week 14 against the Seattle Seahawks. And you know what he did week 14 up against the Seattle Seahawks? 7 of 11 for 116 yards and 18.6 PPR points. Another big game. And then the haters were saying, oh, he can't do it up against the Cowboys. How about them boys? And then week 15, the Rams got their ass fucked repeatedly. They had no chance in this game. And in garbage time, Tyler Higbee and the fantasy gods returned value. 12 of 14 for 111 yards, 23.1 PPR points. An amazing game out of Higbee. And I see no reason why he cannot put that value back in this week yet again to win you your fantasy football championship. And my final tight end before I get into the honorable mentions, the guys I just didn't feel like making a slide about because they weren't that important, but guys that if you're in a deeper league, you might want to go ahead and add to win your fantasy football championship, or even block the guy you're playing because, fuck you. You need a wide receiver? Fuck you. I picked up the other guy. Fuck you, That's what you got to do to win. You have to be ruthless. You have to be a killer. You got to be a telephone fucking terrorist. O.J. Howard versus the Tampa Bay tight end. Obviously, if you guys remember that quote that I just gave, it was from Wolf of Wall Street, one of my favorite movies now. Only averages 6.4 PPR points this year. I know. Nick, he's a fucking dud. That's what you're thinking. He is a dud, okay? But he's without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans this week. So I could see him emerging as a target this week. His last 3 games have been just about okay. Week 13 up against the Jacksonville Jaguars, 5 of 6 for 61 yards, 11.1 PPR points. Week 14 up against the Colts, 4 of 5 for 73 yards, 11.3 PPR points. At week 15 up against the Detroit Lions, 4 of 8 for 46 yards, 8.6 PPR points. So I think you could see a huge game this week, but also he seems to be quite consistent the last couple of games. So you can even play him just as a consistency type of play to make sure you got about 8, 9, 10 points in your tight end position. And now onto the honorable mentions. If you guys have enjoyed thus far and you have not already, please click that subscribe button. Please click that like button. It really does help. And leave a comment with any questions you guys got. So the number 1 honorable mention, Greg Ward at the wide receiver position for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I know you might be thinking, who the fuck is that guy? He's some guy that was on the practice squad, went to the AAF, comes back, scores, plays well for the Philadelphia Eagles. And this Eagles wide receiver core is eviscerated. They're fucking terrible. Finito. Terrible. They're all hurt. Everything. Greg Ward is going to emerge, and he could play great again this week. So it would be a guy in a deeper type of league that you may want to look the way of this week. Now, his teammate, Boston Scott, is also an ad for me in deeper type of leagues. Now, obviously, Miles Sanders is there. Jordan Howard could come back. Ajayi is there, so you don't have to worry about that. But Doug Peterson has been giving Boston Scott touches, so obviously just the fact that he's going to touch the ball is going to make him a lot better than all these other type of running backs you could pick up in these deeper type of leagues. The next option here is Alexander Mattison, running back of the Minnesota Vikings. Now, obviously, like I said, if Boone plays, if Madison plays, then Boone is kind of okay. If Madison doesn't play, Boone is going to be amazing. But I think Madison may end up playing, and Madison is definitely an okay start as your flex. And if you have Dalvin Cook and you don't end up getting Boone, Alexander Madison is definitely a great option for you this week. Now to the tight end, so Mike Gesicki, tight end of the Miami Dolphins, has not had that great of a last couple of games, but I do think he could have a bounce-back game this week, week 16. Clearly, Ryan Fitzpatrick loves throwing him the ball. And the final tight end, Jacob Hollister, Jacob Abercrombie, Jacob, whatever fucking other clothing brand you want to call him, Jacob Gap, whatever you want. Tight end of the Seattle Seahawks could have a big game this week, given he's okay because he got a bit banged up in the last game. So thank you guys all for watching this video. If at any point you ended up enjoying, please make sure to click that subscribe button down below. Click the one of the other videos over here or down here. I love each and every single one of you guys. Make sure to check out Overlay DFS, link down below in the description. I love each and every single one of you guys. Make sure to have a blessed rest of your day. I'll see you guys on Wednesday with some more videos. Goodbye.